This is called Norman's Date. And Norman comes into the bar and tells me this one night. Tells this one night. Norman always had great stuff to say about painting and people he knew in Europe, personalities and marvelous accomplishments, fashionable stuff, in a way. But one night he comes up with this. It knocked me out. He's drinking. He's got one hand holding up his very expensive trench coat. He's got a gold wad dangling out of his mouth. That's his usual stance. He says, I met a woman, the other night, boy. He's talking and puffing the gold wad, his coat pushed back, a couple of guys and me listening. We got drinks. It's not even late. Nobody's drunk. Yeah, I'd been at the 5 spot, he says. He's talking like it's real. He's earnest, you know. I was listening to Monk, and I see this babe standing by the bar digging the music. She's listening, she smiles, she's weaving, she's got a glass, you know. I start watching her, but with good taste. Even some goddamn jewelry, and I hate jewelry, but on her it looks great, really great. And she spots me after a while. I was playing it cool, you know. I thought maybe her old man was in the John and coming right back. Shit, I didn't want no trouble. The music's great, too. That crazy Monk and Wilbur, and that goddamn train is learning to play Monk's tunes, you know. Norman holds up his glass and gestures at us. There are maybe 2 others and me and our knot. He gestures for drinks all around. He's lighting another gold wad with the stump he's got in his mouth. He shrugs acknowledgement as we hold up our glasses, saluting him. Norman was a kind of generous guy in a way, but he comes on tough. An ex-captain in the goddamn bombers during the Second World War. He's always got a scowl on his puss. People who don't know him think he's an asshole. A couple of friends of mine even, they say Norman never invites him to his goddamn parties, the stuck-up elitist bastard, you know. And Norman was making a little money then, flying back and forth to Paris, had regular shows there in a good gallery in New York, big abstract expressionist canvases, big as hell, with the paint soaked in. And you could tell his Rorschach. He had his own style. You could tell a Norman anywhere once you'd seen him. I got to know him through Frank. He was always jammed up with painters, especially the abstract expressionists, de Kooning, Klein, Guston, Hartigan, and even Rivers. He wasn't abstract, not on canvas anyway. I think Rivers took out his abstraction in the real world. But he would leave half a person out of his paintings, I guess as a kind of tribute to all the money that the AEs was making. Cedar Bar, the early 60s, before Malcolm and hot street shit sent people flying every which way. A bunch of us to Harlem. But we hung tough then. And bullshit, massive amounts of it got laid down in that joint. So she looks at me, Norman saying, right in the eye. Hey, what a look. It went right through me. My pecker started to turn over just a little bit, you know? This babe was really good looking, no shit. We're sipping, and Norman's a good storyteller. He brings in the whole nuance of the thing, the environmental vibe, so to speak. He describes the woman. He really describes her. She sounds good, like a cross between Brigitte Bardot and Marilyn Monroe. I think these were his references, but not whorish, he says. Not at all whorish. Real nice. Norman's a big, square-jawed Jewish guy with a permanently sneering lower lip. It gives him character, but actually he's a sweet guy in a lot of ways. He'd probably give you his last dime, but he ain't gonna never get to that. No, not his last dime. Knowing Norman, he knows what's happening, and being broke ain't in it. Monk's doing his wild dance. Norman demonstrates. Oh shit, I was laughing. Fucking Norman, don't dance, please. Just get on with the goddamn story. And the babe is getting warmer and warmer. I could feel it across the room, warmer right there across the room, through the music and over the people. A not insubstantial volume, is that the term? We spat that around, hey, whatever. But the babe is sending like fucking heat rays across the room, and I start thinking, I wasn't thinking shit. But the ding-dong is clearly on the move, and we're still 15 feet apart, and Monk is squatting down, and Norman demonstrates again. He comes up and gestures with the glass. Sam brought another round. When the set's over, she looks away. I say, shit, what a fucking tease, this bitch. But then the fucking broad turns and looks me right up and down from eye hole to pee hole. Yeah, she lays them baby blue glimmers right on the tip of my pecker. We howl. How'd you know it was a tip in? Fucking drunk Basil always gets some contentious shit to raise. How you know it was a tip in? He's beginning to get a little potted. Hey, you know where somebody's looking, goddammit. Norman pretended to be incensed. We laughed. I said, Basil, never had nobody look at his drunken ass. He too fucking drunk. What? What? Basil chug-a-lugged his brew. You want to see the eye prints on my ding-a-ling? Norman made the jerk-off sign. Everybody almost fell down. John, the bartender, comes over and says, what the fuck you guys bullshitting about now? Goddamn, Norman, you're lying about something again? John, kiss my ass, will you? Norman said, give us a fucking free round or quit buttoning the customer's fucking conversation. So then when she's shooting the heat rays at my Johnson, I start to return it full up, you know? What'd you do? Pee? Basil again. You prick, shut up, let him finish. Go ahead, Norman. It's crowded as hell in the 5 spot. Hey, where was I? I was getting it in. I was in the 5 spot every night. Monk and Train, man, that's bad, bad. Not just bad, but bad, bad. Yeah, everybody said amen to that, and it was bad. Bad, bad. Check the records. So I start over, says Norman. Yeah, I start over. Not goofy like Basil. Basil shrugged, chug-a-lug, and waved for another John, who was now standing behind the bar, cocking an ear. He knew the kind of good stories Norman could tell. I start over very cautious and cool, like I'm moving through the crowd, like maybe I was going to the John or to somebody else's table, right? Yeah, we encouraged. And then, when it looks like I might pass the table, I turn like slow. Norman gave the #1 demo of Valentino. Norman Valentino, eyes squinted sexily, shoulders pulled back, his trench coat hanging over that one arm, ever-present drink in hand. Yeah, we were clapping through our brew. Yeah, like that. She looked up at me. Maybe she'd never taken her eyes away, I don't know. But when I turned, she caught me again from pecker to sole and back again. Woo! We wooed too. John smirked, but listened even harder. Basil was grinning silently and making funny motions with his body that I decided were cheerleading stunts. And then I'm standing there over the table, and she's whispering almost, her voice low and soft like quiet, people all around cackling and howling like they do at intermission, pushing back and forth, and I'm standing there with this wild-looking woman stroking me through the eyes down clear to the balls. Norman was outdoing himself. His metaphors were usually sharp, but maybe this eternal story of boy meets girl, accompanied by T-Sphere Monk, was out. We were getting wrapped and dumping beer down us or whatever. No, I think I was drinking bourbon and soda. She says, so why are you standing there? There's room. I guess I kept staring. You just want to look? Huh, I don't know if I said huh. I probably did, but she thought it was something else with the cigarette. Hi, I said. And she laughs with that uncanny, quiet, low voice. Hi yourself. I was wondering if you were coming over or what. I thought for a while you might be just window shopping. I laughed and eased into the seat. I sort of held the glass up like a little toast as I sat, and she did the same. What you drinking? It's always my first statement to any broad, no matter how she looks. She's drinking that goddamn Dubonnet on the rocks. I should have. What? Basil snapped out of his slow, drunken grin. Dubonnet, for Christ's sake? Who the hell drinks that? Shut up, drunk, will you? I think it was White propped against the bar, at least the drunken Basil kibitzing. I want to hear the goddamn story. Okay. Basil started to order another round, but John was already drawing it. So what happened next, Norman? Goddammit, this is getting good. And Basil begins to chug-a-lug again. Yeah, we start talking, you know. I tell her about me. She said she's seen some of my work at Castelli's. She told me she was even at an opening of mine. Yay, a fucking art lover. Basil was smirking, and White was frowning at him in an unserious frown. She tells me she used to paint when she first came to the village, but got bored. She worked at an ad agency. She was a model. She even went out to Hollywood. Yay, Hollywood, White cheered. Shut up, you drunken bastard, Basil cheered unseriously. So what'd she do then? I wanted to keep the story moving. Stories turn me on, especially from guys like Norman, because you keep waiting for some slip-up so you can tell it's bullshit, or else it's real and you pick up some info. She says she's thinking about it. She says she saved up some money, so she's between careers. She even wanted to play the goddamn violin, took lessons and everything, but nothing. Anyway, we're getting cozy. Monk comes back out. She keeps on with the Dubonnet, and I'm sloshing down bourbon and waters like they're going to ration this shit the next day. She's purring at me, asking me about art, asking me about my life. She tells me she never married, that she lived with a few guys a couple of times, with nothing serious. She's 27, just my age category. Norman was 37 then. And man, once I got close to her, she looked even better. Smooth, ivory skin, pale lips, these blue-gray peepers that seemed like they wanted to change colors, and then Norman chug-a-lugs, and a set of fucking, he makes cupping motion, breasts. Basil and White turned and squinted at Norman.